Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome back. Happy Friday. I hope you had an awesome week. I just found out today, my friends, that hashtag Winnie Sun has been shared over 25 billion times. It's true. Over 25 billion impressions as reported today by hashtag tracking report. I'm in complete awe and so grateful. If it weren't for this pandemic, I would probably take all of you, in fact, on a Disney cruise, and we could go celebrate together. And certainly, we can dream, right? We can dream, but 25 billion impressions. Thank you all so much for those of you who shared in that joy and shared and ever posted on social media, hashtag Winnie Sun. You are appreciated. And if you're joining us today on the replay, a quick hello to you. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. And please include in the word comment, include in the comments the word replay, so our kids your view, because it's Friday and Friday is just such a special day. I want to welcome my friends at Modern Mom as well, because we're also streaming to you on the top here. Let's talk about the market. Let's how it closed, because the Dow closed up 573 points, the NASDAQ up 196 points, and the S&P 500 also up 73 points. Really great day, especially for those of you who are investors. You might be feeling a little bit more peppy today because there is hope, and we have hope. We came back from a very tough week, as you know, this week, but with a rally in bonds that actually shed some of the inflation concerns, and a stronger than anticipated job report carried the market today. Investors are pretty happy. So those of you who are looking at your 401k statements, maybe your IRA statements, maybe your Robinhood accounts, probably you're feeling a little bit better, especially since we're going into the weekend. I mean, how much better? I love it when the market's doing well on a Friday, aren't you? I know, it's not like it gets to us now. I've been in the investing for so long, but still, it feels good to end on a high. Now, let me ask you this. Are you getting your COVID-19 vaccine passport? If you haven't seen this already, this is all over social media. The European Union and China have already said that they're committed to moving ahead with vaccine passports, which is going to be a government mandated system for citizens to prove that they've been inoculated against COVID-19. So in order to travel, you got to have one of these passports. Denmark is developing a digital COVID-19 vaccine passport. That's pretty cool. I'm kind of loving this. On Twitter today, in fact, Jonathan Chen shared on from the Wall Street Journal that CDC chief epidemiologist says that the U.S. could achieve 90% herd immunity by August. Wouldn't that be awesome? I don't know about you. I can't wait to get my shot. Hopefully sooner than later. I haven't gotten any notification on when that'll be, though. They're proposing an opening of travel between the United States and China. The two countries could possibly, he says, be the first two countries to remove all barriers for free travel. That'll be interesting. I will be honest with you. If I get my vaccine passport, China isn't going to be the first place that I'm going to want to visit. However, that being said, I think that, the more people we can get vaccinated and back to normal, back to travel, I think that's pretty awesome. I'm actually really excited about that. Here in the United States, this is expected to be, unfortunately, kind of a complicated thing because it would be considered an infringement of our privacy, equality, and maybe other concerns. I'm curious to see what you think. Now, let's say hello to my friends. Alina Law joining us from Facebook. It's great to see you. I see Joshua, CrossX Fighter on YouTube. I see Robin Steams. I see so many of you. Thank you, all of you, for joining me on this Friday. Let's talk about that, though. Curious, how do you feel about carrying a vaccine passport? Would you carry one? Do you think that this is an infringement on your privacy and your equality? And would you be comfortable sharing this information? For one, I think I would be okay with it. I think that I think as a global citizen that sometimes we have to make some concessions. And at least my standpoint, if unless my family and I get back to travel, back to normal again, I think I'm good with that. Governor Cuomo of New York also announces a pilot program testing this thing called the Excelsior Pass at Madison Square Garden and Barclays Center, which if you remember for many of you, when you travel at the airport, right, there's obviously TSA, but there's this other thing where you can actually you can put your fingerprints in, or they can scan your retina eyes, because you let them have this information ahead of time. And this also gives you a faster way to pass through security. So I think this is a similar process. It's called Clear. I'm going to tell you, as a avid traveler and as a big business traveler before the pandemic, I was all about the Clear. In fact, my team knows, like, I would always continue to renew my Clear membership because it was a game changer. So I sort of see this as the same thing. I'm hoping here in the United States, for those of us who feel comfortable with a vaccine passport, I would love to see a program like Clear, where it's already pre-populated into my data. I don't have to carry another passport or anything else, but literally it's already tagged to me. So if they scan my retina or my fingerprints, it would just be in there. I know that's kind of freaky for some of you, or that's like really, really intrusive. But all in all, right? She says that she has Clear. I have Clear. And I hope I travel to use my subscription this year. Yeah, me too. I'm with you there. I'm hoping I can use my subscription again too. It's really so convenient. And I get that, there's privacy concerns, but I'm hoping we all get through that and we get over that, because I think there's some things that we have to do, whether we be in Europe or we be in another country or be here in the United States, that sometimes we might have to just be okay with it and let them use our private information for the greater good of the rest of the world, so we can get back to normal. Most importantly, that we can get back to normal. Now, let's talk about other things. Disneyland, my friends. Let's talk about Disneyland. Here in Southern California, we've been wondering if Disneyland's going to reopen soon. Now, in Florida, Disney World has already reopened. Well, here in California, as cases continue to drop, they're watching and hoping that we will reach what they call the red level. So currently, Disneyland, which is actually about 15 minutes from where I'm sitting currently. That's right. Can you sense Disneyland close by? Probably not, but it's actually about 15 minutes away. And we're in a city or in a county called Orange County. And currently, Orange County is in just one tier above the tier where Disneyland will be able to reopen. Now, I will say, to give you an idea, we were just short by a few decimal points to be able to reach this goal. But with the new guidelines, the counties will move to red at a tier rate of 10 per 100,000 cases, following the administration of 2 million vaccine doses to the state's very hard-hit communities here. So 1.6 million vaccines have already been distributed to these communities. So, the guideline isn't that far off. Also, let's talk about Disneyland for a moment. And that is, there's been that sort of continuous question of whether season passes are going to be coming back. Because if you've been following this news, you know that it wasn't that long ago. I think it was like a couple weeks ago that Disneyland actually got rid of all season passes. They either refunded individuals' monies or whatnot. But they're saying that with the reopening of Disneyland, especially since they're probably going to have to do more crowd control, this is going to probably raise prices, maybe eliminate monthly payments if they do have season passes, and maybe add a partial day admission so that way, people can go at different times, sort of like I think a lot of schools are trying to test, daytime school, afternoon school, and whatnot because of the pandemic. And they might even build a separate entrance for pass holders when they bring back annual passes. So I don't even know if right now annual passes are coming, but I've been doing a lot of research on this, especially travel, financial. We're very interested to see whether Disneyland is going to be back to normal. And for those of you who have been to Disneyland, probably not in the last year because it's been closed for the last year, how do you feel about that? Yeah, two big questions, right? First, number one, are we going to be holding a vaccine passport? Are we be comfortable with that? And number two is, what do we think about Disneyland? And Disneyland, now with the pandemic, are they going to also require something of a form of a vaccine passport. Now, understand that that hasn't been talked about in the news at all. This is just something I'm thinking because obviously, going to large arenas and whatnot, we're seeing in New York, Governor Cuomo's already suggesting something like that. Those of you who have had a Clear membership when you travel, they actually accepted Clear, I think, at a lot of the big stadiums and concert halls. And this was even before COVID-19. So I think this is going to be something that we're going to have to get over. I feel like one way or the other, in order for us to continue to travel to different countries that have different laws and rules, once we're at their house, right, in their country, we're going to have to follow by their rules. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that unfolds. Anything's possible here in the United States, right? We saw that this week with even the news coming out of Texas and Louisiana. Let me know how you feel about that. But things are going to change. Things are changing. This pandemic is changing us for one way or the other. Now, let's continue on. Let's talk about today, Friday special, because we're doing AWA, and that stands for Ask Winnie Anything. And you have submitted some great questions to us this week. So let's go ahead and start with that. Let's go with your first question. This is a fun one. I like this question a lot. All right. Thankfully, our pet grooming supplies business has been doing pretty well this year. Congratulations. We've increased our savings and even kept our emergency fund full. That's music to my ears. What's the next step we should be considering? By the way, do you think it's a good time to invest? Okay, I love this question. Now, first off, I love that you're having a good year, and the fact that you've saved up in your emergency fund makes me very, very happy. I'm going to ask you, have you actually completed your financial first aid kit? Now, for those of you, we're in the midst of tax season. If you haven't done that already, I would definitely jump on that. If you're not sure where to start, you'll want to jump on our website, or actually Sun Group's website at sungroupwp.com there, and you can actually check that out. They have their financial first aid kit guideline that you can download for free, and that'll help you with that. To answer your question about if this is a good time to invest, I will tell you this much. As a longtime financial professional, I will say that it's been my experience that there's almost never a perfect time to invest. There's also never a completely bad time to invest. It really depends on your time horizon, how long you can hold your investment, right? How long you can put the money in, buy what you need, and let it continue to save up. And it's also really important to make sure to keep diversified, meaning that, especially right now, we just talked about inflation. We're talking about bond prices right now. So, if you invest too aggressively in one sector, right? Let's say you're like all in electric vehicles right now, or all in minerals or certain things right now. The concern here is, what if that turns sour? And being that the market has done so well for so long, the odds of a pullback or a retreat on the positive activities of the stock market should be expected. So I would say now more than anything, my suggestion would be to focus on making sure that you had diversity. The other thing is, if you're just starting to invest, make sure that you have a plan in place. Make sure you have your goals in place. And then a really important one too, because you told me you're a dog groomer, you have business expenses and whatnot. I would also suggest, before just opening an account and investing, considering the structure of your investments. So in your case, if you've had a great year and your income exceeds, 6 figures, then maybe go the traditional IRA route or SEP IRA route, or maybe you have employees, maybe a 401k route. And maybe if you're under 100,000, your income meets that threshold, maybe go directly into a Roth IRA or something like that. The reason why that's helpful is because that will help you really be mindful that this money is saved up for myself for retirement. So you want to make sure that that money is going to be there for you until age 59 and a half and beyond. So it's long-term investing, unless you're like 58 and you're really close to retirement age. I don't know. It's not in the question. So, you would know. But basically, that's what I would suggest. Making sure you have a plan, making sure you find, if you can, a tax-sheltered structure before just investing. And of course, make sure you're diversified. And I would add to that, if you're not sure where to go, you might want to take a look at savingpie.com, a really great a solution for this too. Okay. So hopefully it was helpful. If you have any add-on questions to that, definitely send your comments and questions in. And as a reminder, for those of you who are watching us live, if you have questions, you actually can submit them right now. We're actually monitoring your comments as we're going along. So if you're like, Winnie, that was good, but I want to ask a little bit more. Can you tell me more? That's what we're here for on Fridays especially, okay? So let's go ahead and check question number 2 that was submitted. This is a good one too. I think you're going to like this one. All right. Winnie, what's MEC? My husband lost his job and we depend on his benefits for health insurance. I'm researching options for us now and heard that I need to pay attention to MEC. What is MEC? Okay, so here's the deal. The Affordable Care Act, which, as many of you know as Obamacare or ACA, does require those of us who have health insurance that it meets a government standard known as the minimum essential coverage, also known as MEC. So under Obamacare, if you have health insurance offered to you from your employer, this is going to qualify for MEC, so don't worry. But if you don't have health insurance through your employer, maybe you've lost your job or you're self-employed, this is something that you should be paying attention to, because currently, as we sit right now in 2021, there actually isn't a penalty if you don't meet MEC, just so you know. But previously, that was certainly the case. Previously, if you had health insurance and didn't actually meet MEC requirements, you could get penalized when you file your taxes. So I always recommend, if you're watching us on replay and it's no longer 2021, I would check the IRS website, irs.gov website, or ask your accountant just to make sure whether or not there are some penalties in place for MEC. Okay, so typically examples that you wouldn't qualify for MEC would be plans that provide only discounts on healthcare services. Okay, plans that only cover dental or vision, things like that, and care under workers' compensation plans. They typically don't qualify as well. And plans to provide care only for a specific condition, like one condition, rather than general medical coverage. Generally, that then wouldn't also qualify to pass MEC. So I would say if you're looking for new health insurance, because I know many of you are actually in the process of looking at affordable health care right now because the windows have been open, try to find a plan that meets MEC from the beginning, and then just one less thing you have to worry about if it becomes to a point where there will be a penalty if you don't meet it. Another option is to buy a plan yourself through the health insurance marketplace. So that's one way to do it. These are state-specific plans. So you can look into that. Definitely do a Google search. There's a lot of information out there. I would say if you're not sure, if you're employed at a larger company, check with your benefits team and have a conversation with them on what plan makes best sense for you. And here's something a lot of people don't think about. I would highly recommend having a discussion with your doctor or medical team. So for example, with my kids' pediatrician, right? I told the pediatrician, I'm going to actually talk to your billing department because I want to figure out what insurance companies that you accept, right? And what's been the best experience for your team in terms of making sure that things are covered by the insurance companies. If you do that, you have a much better likelihood that the plan that you select will cover your potential medical expenses, right? So do that due diligence. Talk to your medical professionals. You're usually really helpful and really nice. And also, if there's any financial or medical concerns, right? This is the time to talk about. You might say, my son or daughter or I or my husband or whatever, we have these sort of needs, and wow, insurance didn't cover much of it. It was so expensive. Maybe it could be alternative care, like it could be therapies or physical therapy or other things like that. You want to have these conversations because if you find the right coverage, it could potentially help save you thousands of dollars per year, which is always a good thing, right? So that would be my suggestion. Thank you so much for asking about MEC because I haven't heard about that in quite a long time. So hopefully for those of you who are watching, hopefully that's helpful. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next question. What do we got? Okay, Winnie, my teenager is planning to go to Duke University in the fall. Congratulations. I have one of my friends, my dear friend who's a producer at Good Day LA, her son goes to Duke as well. And she's getting an online tutoring job. Very good. Is it better for her to save that in her savings account or the Roth IRA that you talked about? Bear in mind that we will need her to apply for financial aid for school. All right, great question. All right, so this is the time to be thinking about it. I'm really glad you raised this question. For those of you who are parents, you definitely want to hear this because this is good information. Now, a Roth IRA, as you know, lets you invest after tax dollars, which then take tax-free distributions when you reach the age of 59 and a half. That means money goes in post-tax, right? This is just like money in your checking account. Then once you reach age 59 and a half and beyond, the whole thing is tax-free. We love that, okay? So this is always really smart. This is a great way to save for retirement. But this is also great to help your student get more financial aid for college because the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A, works this way. Families who plan to have a child in college during the coming academic year, right, next fall, are going to need to fill out a FAFSA application to apply for federal college aid. And schools, states, and scholarship programs also relied on the same data that comes from the FAFSA, which determines a student's eligibility for programs that lower higher education sticker prices, such as grants, loans, work-study jobs, need-based aid, and merit-based aid. This all comes into place. So the FAFSA is so important when you're applying for college, especially when you're looking for financial aid. Now, they will ask you a whole bunch of questions. There's a questionnaire involved, and they use these mathematical formulas to figure out how much federal government aid and other grants and scholarships that they think that your family is going to need to help your daughter go to Duke. So the math does assume that 20% of a student's assets and about 5.64% of the parent's assets are available to pay for college expenses at Duke for you in any given year, right? Which you might think, well, that's just surprising because 5.64% doesn't sound like a big amount. But for most households, that's quite a bit, right? Because many families are living paycheck to paycheck. So taking an extra 5-6% is quite a bit. And 20% of a student's assets is even more. So how they break it down is they do count your accounts at the bank, your savings, your checking accounts, any investment accounts that you own. But what they don't calculate into this equation, which is really important for you to know, is retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, SEP IRAs, things like that, insurance policies, if you have annuities, and even equity in your family home. So do take that into account. So why this is a smart move, if your daughter has an online tutoring job, I would recommend that instead of putting that money into, let's say, her checking or savings account, consider putting that into her Roth IRA, okay? The reason why that's great is, number one, you're helping her save for a future retirement, but also knowing that you're going to be filing for financial aid, you just told me that, right? Then this actually doesn't count towards your financial aid eligibility calculation. So that's actually pretty wonderful, right? So give that some thought. I would definitely try to max out. So max out, for the IRA this year, the Roth IRA or traditional IRA this year is going to be $6,000. And do know that, you might think, you might want to not use a Roth IRA. If you want a traditional IRA, that's fine too. They both don't count towards federal financial aid. And if her online tutoring company, if they have a 401k, that is helpful too, because they can contribute up to $19,500 this year for a 401k for 2021. So keep that in mind. Okay, so that money will not count towards your FAFSA application. Hope that's helpful to you. And if you have any other questions pertaining to financial aid, student loans, things like that, definitely submit them. I'd love to see those questions. Happy to help you as much as I can. All right, let's go. Let's see. Next question. What do we got? All right, what's the difference? What's the difference between refinancing and consolidating your student loans? I heard one is better than the other, but I'm not sure which way to go to get my student loan act together. I love it. Great question. I know. I remember that wasn't that long ago that I had a student loan. Okay, well, yeah, it was kind of a long time ago. But student loans, refinance or consolidation, which way to go? Well, only one way actually lowers your interest rate, believe it or not. So let's talk about that, okay? So when you have more than one student loan, if you have more than one, I actually had a client that had 7 different student loans. It was crazy. It can be really hard to manage, right? Because they have different payment dates and whatnot. So you might actually want to put them together and just make it so much easier to manage. So the federal government has this program called the Direct Consolidation Loan Program. So there are options to help you combine your multiple student loans into a single loan, making it so you only have to manage one monthly bill and payment. Consolidation can certainly streamline your payments, but what the thing to remember though is refinancing is the other option, and this can also offer you a simplified way of repayment, but it also can give you a lower interest rate. So if you're looking to refinance and get a lower rate, you got to go through the refinancing way. Consolidation will not help you lower your rate as much as a refinance will. Student loan federal consolidation allows borrowers to be able to basically combine their federal student loans through a direct consolidation loan program into a single student loan. So even though it's consolidated, borrowers still have the access to the same protections that they have with their own loans, because student loan forgiveness, income-driven repayment, as we know, there's been a lot of benefits because of COVID-19 during the pandemic for those of you who have federal loans through the government that you didn't really have if you have like private student loans. So that's one thing to think about. It does allow borrowers to choose their new repayment terms. And it doesn't require applicants to have to requalify. So if you don't have great credit, I would definitely recommend looking into doing that consolidation method better than refinancing, because refinancing is going to require you to have good credit in most cases, unless you're going to have a co-signer. The interest rate is a fixed rate, and it's calculated as the weighted average of your original loan rates. So if you're looking for a lower interest rate, then you're going to want to have to refinance, okay? By refinancing, though, student loan borrowers will replace their current private and or federal loans into an entirely brand new loan through the private sector. So private lender, not the federal government. So this means that you're going to consolidate your loans, okay? So you can combine federal and private loans together into one. But you're going to have to qualify. So this is going to take place with credit score. You're going to have decent income. You're going to have decent debt to income ratios, savings, payment history on your current loans. And overall, you have to have pretty good financial health, right? Now, you could get a co-signer to help you, and you also have the option of actually having a fixed rate or a variable interest rate. But similar to federal consolidation, borrowers who refinance can also choose their repayment terms depending on how fast they want to pay off their loans. But do keep in mind, if you do have credit issues, right? Maybe you're like, I don't know if I can qualify because my credit's not that great. You still could possibly refinance because you could opt to have a co-signer. And some lenders will even allow you to have a co-signer to be then later removed from your loans after a period of consecutive on-time monthly payments. So that's an option for you as well. So while refinancing can lead to a lower interest rate, you'll lose any protections that you currently have with your federal student loans, like income-driven repayment plans and student loan forgiveness. And right now, because especially since we're deep in the third round of stimulus checks and seeing where the Senate's going to be on this next $1.9 trillion COVID bill, is that, there's a lot of benefits right now. So there's a lot of forgiveness. The federal student loan repayment interest accrual is on pause. So right now is definitely not the best time to refinance your federal loans, okay? If they're federal loans, do not refinance right now until you're in a good place. However, if you have private loans and you want to get those rates down, then you can fit those criteria of like decent credit and income and debt to income ratios, then actually looking at refinancing probably wouldn't hurt you, as long as you make sure you read the fine print. And if you combine your federal student loans, making managing your payments easier, the government's direct consolidation loan program is really the way to go. So definitely look into that if you have federal student loans, okay? So either way, make sure to do your due diligence and make sure to shop around, and please read the fine print when applying. All right, so that's it. That's it for what the questions that we came in for today. So do know if we didn't answer your question today, don't worry. Keep submitting them to me. Just go ahead and submit them in comments right now. I'll be happy to collect them. My team and I are always doing so. And if you think about a question during the week, don't be shy. Just go ahead and send me the question. And any platform that you're on, my team and I try to manage us as much as we can. And if you want, you can always jump on our website too, which is levelupwithwinniesun.com, levelupwithwinnie.com actually. And that's actually our show website. You can jump on there, you can add your name to the list, or you can always just submit your questions too, because that's where we will check all the time. And we're doing something really special, many of you know, starting this week, because our friends at Intuit have a really cool giveaway for all of you. Intuit is providing codes for a free TurboTax to use this tax season. So as you know, Intuit is a global technology platform that serves millions of customers worldwide with TurboTax, QuickBooks. I love QuickBooks, Credit Karma, and Mint, and they believe that everyone should have the opportunity to prosper. So visit Intuit.com and you can get the latest news and information from Intuit and their brands. But also, if you want TurboTax this year because you're filing your taxes this year, definitely, submit a post and tag at Winnie Sun and tag Intuit at the same time and hashtag I want TurboTax. And then we will pick someone each week to give someone TurboTax for tax season. It's really, really fun. So you have here, my friends, our live stream, which streams every single day that the financial markets are open. Thank you so much for watching, supporting our program. And if you don't mind, take a moment to share this show. Share this show on any of your platforms that you have. That helps me significantly. So share the show if you can. As a reminder, you can find full episodes of Level Up on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Be well, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Take care now. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.